Hi and welcome to another episode of the Getting Things Done podcast from Vital Learning. I am Morten and I'm here with Lars Roskilde Henriksen. Привет, Lars.
Привет, my good friend and colleague, Morten Røvik. Good to see you as always. And good to be with everyone out there listening and watching. We always start off with a quick reminder of the purpose of the podcast, which is to help you learn GTD or become even better GTDers. We hope that today's episode supports you in that and gives you some good ideas. If you're new to GTD, we always recommend you go back and listen to the first 6 episodes of the podcast, the audio version from back then, because those we walk through the basics of GTD, the 5 steps, which is a great starting point for you. Today's episode number is number 141, and today's episode is titled Small GTD Habits That Really Make a Difference. And I think this is the last of the 20 years with GTD series, right, Morten?
Yeah, this is everything I've learned. If you go back, no, I've learned more than this, but these are some of the things that this series has been a walkthrough of the things that I picked up on my personal journey into getting things done, and the personal journey of many of my 200 plus coaching clients. Things that I've found to be important pieces of information that might not jump at you out of the book or out of a training. Parts of it probably does, but not everything. So, and these small GTD habits that we are going to cover today are some of the if you do them consistently, that's going to be one of the most, probably one of, or possibly one of the more important things you do in your learning, getting things done, and get it to work for you. So my first item on the list of small GTD habits that really makes...
We have to do this clickbaity approach. We have to say, you'll never guess number 4. Number 5 will surprise you.
Yeah, because you think that is us. Okay, let's pause there for a second. This is Lars, who do not like when I create, little artsy, funny YouTube thumbnails, where he's stopping. Oh, can we remove this? I don't like that.
Yeah, I'll let you go nuts. We'll have the you'll never guess number 4. Well.
Okay, you will never guess number 4. Well, probably they can't because they've not heard the list before. But hey, let me break it down for you. So the first one is capture everything. Okay, so the idea here is that in GTD, one of the basics of getting things done is to make sure that you don't use your head as a system. Your head is a crappy office, as David Allen would say. So you have to get it out. That's the step number 1. So just capture everything that has your attention, and everything with capital letters is a little important there. So don't hold back when capturing. And that we will get to because this is a key, is that a lot of people think that if I write it down, I have to do it. No, it's just in the wrong place. You just have to get it out and into your system, into your in tray or inbox or task list or wherever you capture, and just to write everything down that has your attention. Anything that you might want to do something about, maybe want to do something about, will do something about, or worry about. If you're just personal, professional, just get everything out. Don't hold back. Writing something down does not mean you have to do something about it. You have not committed to anything yet. So, and that is my first suggestion. And I'm sure, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Lars, about capture everything. Do you have something to add?
I think that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
No, but you describe it nicely, because that is a change for people that they don't. One of the changes that we do try to introduce and hopefully convince you to do following encountering GTD, that it's okay to write this stuff down, and then it's okay to that's where we want to capture it. As you said, it's in the wrong place, and it's really nice when you get into that habit. I'm always somewhat hesitant in how I describe it to people when we talk about it in trainings. I will of course say that this is the recommended approach, but I also don't want to overwhelm people. I think that listeners here in this case will be just fine, and perhaps this is a good reminder for people to really get that out of your head, and of course to do that you need to have some good tools available. So making sure that you have good capture tools that really work for you. Have your list manager, have your voice memos, have your Siri, Google Assistant, whatever you have, paper and pen, whatever you have nearby. Make it easy to capture that stuff. That's really an easy friction point to get lost in when you try to capture everything.
And another key to get good at capturing is that some of the things that I found, and I am guilty of this, or I was guilty of this before, and that's why I'm now giving you this as a small GTD habit that really makes a difference, is do not straight away clarify when you capture something. That is something people get dragged into. So if you capture something, and I know what to do with that, then your inkling or your desire is to, I want to write that down. And the best practice here is, and there is nuances here, but the best practice here, do not clarify straight away, unless you're in front of your computer, unless you have time and mental energy, because the trap here with clarifying straight away is that you can get a resistance of capturing because I can't clarify straight away. So you can trick yourself. So the idea here is that capture everything that has your attention. Do not clarify straight away to avoid the resistance of capturing. I don't know. Have you seen this, Lars? Have you ever done that? It's kind of having a resistance of capturing when you want to clarify. You need to clarify it straight away.
I think mostly for me it has actually been sort of the flip side of that. In that I will stop myself from capturing because I start to clarify. So I think it's perhaps the other way around, that it's not a resistance because I don't get to do it now. It's because I'll engage different parts of my brain that then won't be able to capture all the good thoughts that I was just in the process of having. So I think that's how it typically shows up for me, that and then if I look back to instead of the personal perspective, but look back into trainings, we see this all the time. Why do we need to separate this? And we do talk about, clarify and organize steps. Those sit pretty close, and in practice, you will do them pretty closely together. Why can we not just mix everything? Why are we separating all this stuff? But as you know, and everyone out there familiar with GTD, that the practice of just being able to capture and let it sit there and trust that you'll get to it is just it's just such a nice way to work with whatever shows up in your work and life.
Indeed, and the capture everything and do not clarify straight away. It will these are the best practices. Just if you're fresh to GTD, try to keep them separated. So capture is one step, clarify is another, and then just set aside time to do both of them. And there are some specific best practices and we have episodes on capture and clarify, so you can jump to that. And while I'm speaking now, I'm sure Lars can dig out the episode numbers because he's really good at that. And I will move on to the next item when it comes to clarify, that I've noted down as part of my 20 years of GTD, small GTD habits that really makes a difference, is clarify using the really or /BS test before committing something into your system. So if you capture everything, any straight thoughts that you might want to do something about, anything that you captured, then you have to shed some light on it and ask yourself, what is this? And when you know what it is, then you have to ask you, am I really going to do something about this? Is there enough time in the world and enough energy in me to actually do this? And that is what I call the really test. And when I talk about this, I mention my son. He says, really, Dad, are you going to do that? Really? And I think that is a good test, and because if you are doing that, that might connect you intuitively to your higher horizons that you have, whether you know it or not. You do have higher horizons. What's my values? What's my principles? What's my perceived purpose and the vision I have of my life? And then, or if you have explicitly made them and identified them, it's a lot easier when you ask yourself, am I really going to commit to doing this? So, anything to add on this, Lars? Do you have something? Have you seen something?
No, it's just a really, really good addition. And I think if we look at, some of the things that have most caught on in the community around this podcast, I think this might be number one that people tend to reference that. Really, yeah, that the really test is a solid addition to the clarify step, and being more clear on that, and it applies to me as well. That I'll be enthusiastic, time optimist in the moment, and that list doesn't look that long. I can add this, and then 3 weeks later, it's just sitting there looking at me, and maybe I should not have put that on the on the list there. And one more thing to perhaps add in that perspective, also following the tip to capture everything, is that when you get really good at capturing everything, you also need to be really good at someday maybeing, right? You really need to be good at putting stuff on that someday maybe list, and not just being good at putting stuff on there and making several pages of someday maybes, because that can happen as well. Speaking from personal experience, pruning that list as well, right? So it does. As soon as you level up your capture habits, you have to level up your inbox processing habits, especially the clarify step, right? So being really clear on the really test, and I would perhaps add a small asterisk as well to the someday maybe step, that people will tend to overcommit to their lists and their systems. Shorter lists are just easier to work with.
They are, and then when you can, of course, when you say, well, I'm not going to do something about this, so but I might want to do something about it later, then it's then that's the place to put it, the someday maybe list, and as you say, Lars, prune it, because I'm looking at people who have like kilometers long someday maybe lists, and they never get around to get to the bottom and look at it. So, but pruning is necessary. Cleaning house, get the cobwebs out of your system. I do that on a regular basis, and it feels really good. And I throw inevitably out something at some point, saying that, well, that was cool back then, but not anymore. Not committing to that. I'm renegotiating that commitment with myself. So, and adding on to the clarify part, and I want to add some depth on this, and that is one of the things that I really see is key, is when people get the what is a next action and what is a desired outcome. So the clearest way of doing or finding, or at least that I found to define the next action, is a next physical visible action where you have everything you need, and that can be done in one sitting. So it's a long sentence. So go back to what I just said and play it 10 times after each other, and then write it down as you listen to it, because it's going to help you. And then when you look at what does done look like, what is the desired outcome? It should have a verb, should point to your goal line. When this is successfully finished, what is true in this world? What has happened? What has changed? So doing the next action, and what does done look like? So imagine that you're at the start line of something. You have a goal. You're going to run a track, and you see the goal in front of you. What is the goal? And then each step is the next action until you get there. So get good at this, and it will help you immensely. Anything to add, Lars?
No, just completely agree. And it's. I think as we've mentioned probably a couple of times before, it's one of those things when you start off with GTD, it might be a challenge to sort of figure out what is this, and how our next action is different from projects. And so I wrote one thing down on my list, and now you're telling me I have to write two things. And why do I need to look two places, and how do I actually use them in daily life? So there is some familiarity in all of this that you just have to get into that kind of thinking. But once you do, you really understand the value of it.
Yep. Okay, so moving along, that was clarify and doing and done. And so my second to last is always create a waiting for. And the idea here is that when you've have something you wait from, something from other people. So let's say you sent an email, you sent a text, you tried to call someone, you got to the answering machine, you left a message, or you met someone in the hallway saying that, oh, I'll call you later, and they don't call. And the idea is that capture everything about that as a part of your GTD practice. So if you're in the hallway, capture that. Heard from Lars regarding what? Or when you are in email, sending an email, then drag and drop the email from sent items into your task manager. Or Microsoft To Do has that functionality. You can drag and drop into to Microsoft To Do, and just make sure that you create a waiting for everything. And that is a very good practice. And specifically, if you are a manager, of course it is for everyone, but specifically for managers, I've seen so many examples of managers who manage teams who they speculate in the they wager on the failing memory of their boss to remember what they've committed to in the last meeting. So he will never remember this, or she will never remember that, so I don't have to do it. So, but if you become the manager who capture everything, and then you can refer back to that and say, well, you committed this, what happened? And then you go, ooh, I have to do that now. Oh, okay. I don't know. But another best practice that I would like to suggest is that you have what I call a soft follow-up date. So if you look at that, let's say that I met Lars. He said I will send you the PDF, and then in my internal priority system, I need that on Friday this week. So what I would do is I would put Friday's date in front of the waiting for in the subject line. I will not use a reminder or anything like that, because that just start dinging and binging when I don't when I'm in the middle of something. And so just write it down as I use it the year dash month dash day way of doing that, because then I can sort alphabetically in my system, so the due date will always be on the top. And my suggestion for best practice there, visit this list every day before you leave for work and see if something has passed or getting close to your due date, so that you know when to follow up. And then follow up very easily. So don't use a lot of time and energy. I have people who I've been talking to, they need to write a half an essay to explain why they are following up. It's like, you don't have to do that. Just, I expected to hear from you. Didn't. What's up? Or you can be a little, more, what you call, polite or professional writing your emails. But just, I was expecting an answer from you. I haven't. This is a follow-up email. Hope that you can get back to me soon. And that's waiting for. Do you have something that you do differently that you would recommend people to do, Lars? How do you handle the follow-up date, by the way? Do you have a follow-up
so
date?
first of all, it's really good thing to add, and people recognize this. And I think, for most people, this is one of the easier ones as well to pick up and start to work into their own daily practice, that you start to track these things. Mine has changed, I think, a number of times over the years, especially starting with email as sort of the first things that I remember, where I would have a closing out session at the end of each day, just as a standard practice for me to run through my sent email folder and making sure that I had caught all of the ones that I wanted to add a waiting for in my system. And then, later on being much better and more deliberate about pausing after I've sent that email and starting to pick the next one. I think that's sort of where I built in now, that I want to make sure that I have a waiting for if I do want to have that waiting for. But I think, allowed myself a bit more flexibility today. I used to have that same kind of approach. I remember talking to people about this and saying, so do I really have to add this? And for me, back then, it was just easier, just like, regardless of how long we're driving, as soon as I get in, you just put on the seatbelt, right? You don't really think about it. And that was kind of my reason for always adding it, despite it not always being necessary. I think for my approach today, I have, of course, built my system, and it tracks when I added that waiting for, so it'll surface for me in that way, and I can still add dates to make it bubble up in my system and show up on any given day. But I'm less strict on myself. If I send you an email, Morten, I trust that you will get to it. So again, that's part of the trust that comes with GTDers. There will be some things where I'm like, I need something quickly, and you might not know how quickly that I need it. So I might, in some cases, still add waitings for. But just for both you and Espen, right? There would be very few waiting fors on my list. So there is some. I think there is some more flexibility in my system today. But that works for me now, and maybe I'll change back. Who knows?
Well, I'm doing it the same way with you, because when I say always create a waiting for, that is if you are 100% sure that this person will get back to you on the time that you need them to get back to you, you don't have to create a waiting for. But as you said, sometimes we are emailing each other, and we are, I don't set a clear expectation when I need an answer to these things, and then you will answer when you're ready. And when it fits and I don't have your schedule in front of me. I don't know if you do 3 days of seminars and I will get, the answer next week. But if I think the best practice is to, at least when you establish your GTD system, always create a waiting for, just to get it in as the habit of putting your seatbelt on, because it's good for you. And then I think that is a good small habit that you can practice, and when practice good, you will have a better system and less stress, because you don't have to remember any of the things that you're waiting for from others.
Yeah, and that's really one of the keys that I've found. When talking to people over the years, when they get this, because waiting for us, there seems to be a different relationship with our own tasks and with tasks that we've developed towards others. When I have some stuff that I didn't write down, well, part of me knows that it's in my head and that I will get to it, or you might mistakenly trust that, right? So that's what we just spoke about, capturing everything.
Yes.
Yeah. But when we talk about waiting for us, there seems to be, we either think about it all the time and want to follow up with people, or we tend to sort of forget, and then we follow up too late with them. So I have this, and it's more of just a gut feeling, but there is a feeling that these will tend to take up perhaps even proportionally more space than they need to, or less space than they're somewhat of a different type of commitment for us. So again, just coming back to having a solid waiting for a list is so valuable.
Yep. Okay, I will then move us on to the last, which you will not guess. What was the wording again? Guess, you can't guess what number 4 is.
I don't know. You won't believe number 4. I think that was the number 4 was the waiting for, right? So maybe you did believe them. Sorry.
No. This number 4 is if something is going to be repeated, create a checklist. And the reason we are talking about checklists is because they are really good at, I call them my sanity tool. Okay, people, I'm in beginning of my 60s. And when people show me something, I go, yes, and I understand how to do that. And it's technically maybe a little complicated, but I think, I will remember how to do that. I will not. I will not. Just to be honest with you. So what I've come to understand is that, at least for me, the older I get, the more checklists I need. So I just took over. Our managing director has temporarily left the company to pursue a career in politics. And being the MD, there's a lot of administration. And what I've found that is very beneficial for me is to create checklists and to use screen dumps as illustrations to remember everything. So I have a checklist for almost any admin task that I need to get done, and a calendar reminder for when I need to do them. So some of them are tied to a date and some are not, but those who are tied to a date has a date, and then a link back to my notes to make sure, and a checklist to help me. And but Lars, you are so much younger than me. So how do you handle the checklists? Do you need them in your young age?
Yes, I think we all do. Packing list, checklist for trainings, podcast notes, perhaps.
Yeah.
It's all there. So no, big fans of that. And again, this I think most people are somewhat familiar with checklists, but just being more deliberate about them, especially as part of your GTD practice, and keeping this in mind that when we have these things that show up that we will have to do again at some point, then just placing that on your radar to make it easier for future Lars to go through and do it at some point in the future. Was a big, I think actually a fairly big shift for me as well, to just have that and making it easier. I think if I were to add something to the tip that you have, I think both doing it for things that you do frequently and infrequently, because I think there is sort of a tendency that people will do one or the other. I don't know if that's the same case in Norway or in the rest of the world, but it seems to be the case that either people say, well, I do this so frequently, but it's technical or it's detailed, so let me just add a checklist for it. Or it's, I submit this report to the tax authorities once per year, and it's kind of tricky, so let me outline that one. And of course, say do both, right? If you do something repeatedly, whether it's frequently or infrequently, I would consider making a checklist at least to see if that wouldn't make things easier. And next time you sit there and which button did I click and where did I go and how do I made a checklist next time that you come across it, then things will just be easier next time.
Now, one of the things that I feel is also it is a key to GTD, but it is also key to human nature, is that we are really good as humans tricking ourselves to believe I will remember that, I will know how to do that, which is, who are you trying to fool? History tells you that you forget things, and why should you then use your head as a system trying to remember how to do things? Just write the procedure down, create a checklist, and make things easier for yourself. And then you can, use your mental bandwidth for better things, to be present, to with the people you care about in the settings that you care about, and enjoy life instead of using this thing I have to remember, I have to do something about, or so create a checklist for the things that you need to repeat. Makes your life easier. And that was my last part, and I'm sure people did not expect that as number 4 or 5-ish.
Whatever it was,
yeah. So do you have anything you would like to add to all of the things? I know you took some notes before we started.
No, I think
would you like to walk through your checklist?
I have completed my checklist. I am ready to take us out.
Okay, then please do, Lars.
As always, a quick reminder of the GTD Summer Camp that we organize every year. It is the event of the year Always fun to be there. GTDers are the nicest people. We had a fantastic one this year. We'll do our best to do this once again in 2027. If you want to be notified when we open up for signups, if you already attended in previous years, you will be notified automatically. If you're not on that list and consider joining us in 2027, then just send me an email. I'll add you to that list, lars@VitalLearning.dk. The other reminder, the second reminder that we give you, before I do.
Yeah, just a quick question. It's in June, right? So that if people want to do, and it's beginning of June,
mid-June typically.
June. Okay. Thank you. Back to you, Lars.
Back to the checklist. The second thing on the checklist is the reminder that you get every time to head on over to VitalLearning.eu, and you'll find links to each of the country websites there, where you can learn much more about what we do on a daily basis with our GTD coaching, GTD trainings, different levels of GTD trainings, our other products as well in each of the Nordics Plus countries that are part of the Vital Learning group. So VitalLearning.eu is a great place to go to check out the websites. If you're outside the Nordics Plus, then head on over to gettingthingsdone.com to find your local partners. And the last reminder is to be sure to subscribe, because we have a great episode coming up. It's the 25-year anniversary of the Getting Things Done book. So we have a special episode coming up with David Allen later this year. So if you're not already subscribed, be sure to subscribe, and the bells and buttons and whistles and whatever you can press, so that you don't miss it when we release.
You're so professional, Lars.
Yeah, that's it, right? And lastly, the GTD Masterclass retreats that you like to mention at the end as well.
Yes, I normally will say a couple of words about that. And the Masterclass retreat is 3 days. So 2 o'clock one day and the full evening dinner. And this is the second day with learning things, eating good, discussing. And then the last day, third day, until 2 o'clock, we meet 12 participants. Lars and I will be there. Catherine and David Allen will probably be there. We're trying to confirm that for the 2027 edition. I am not sure if the 2026 edition has any seats left, but you can check it out by following the link in the show notes for the Masterclass retreat. And what I'm suggesting that you do, if this is something you would like to consider, just apply and we will get back to you. There's an application form there. And just to give you some more information, there's an exclusive event. We are at historical sites, historical hotels, where we take over the whole hotel, or we take over a part of the hotel. We do in September in Denmark, in Holkenhavn Castle, really beautiful place. We do it in February in Norway at Lusby Manor, also a really beautiful and historical place where we gather people to focus on the horizons of focus. So what is the purpose of your life? What are your values? What are your principles? And how does living your life successfully look for you? Try to identify that to give you direction. And you will get coaching, one-on-one coaching. You will get group coaching, group learning, group work. And the reviews that we get after the feedback is phenomenal. So check it out at the Masterclass retreat link in the show notes. And hope to see you there. Apply and we will have a chat. And we will see if you are accepted into the fold. We have a screening process if we don't know you from before. So, Lars, that was my taking out when it comes to Masterclass retreat. Anything to add at the end here?
No, I think that this was fun. Doing this series. I think 20 years with GTD, lots of good tips. If you haven't listened to the previous episodes, I would recommend you go back and listen to them. And if you have any questions, tips, ideas for next episodes, listener questions. It's been a while now.
Yep.
If you have any questions, be sure to send them. podcast@vitallearning.dk reaches both Morten's and my inbox. So we hope to hear from you there.
Yeah, and we do like when listeners write us and ask us questions, because that gives us something specific to talk about. And when it is something specific, your problems are probably not yours alone. I'm sure other people have had or have the same problem. So send them to us, and we will address them. And other people can, draw knowledge from your challenges. So, okay. Now I will say what I always say at this point. Until next time, stay safe and stay productive.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Goodbye.